Hello, friends. Today we are welcoming you for yet another discussion on an important topic relating to intersectional discrimination or the concept of multiple stigmatization. What is this? What is its constitutional importance? How it can be eradicated? What are the steps taken by various entities, including government, judiciary, and what is the way forward? So, this is what the subject matter of our discussion today. First, we should understand the concept of intersectional discrimination. Intersectional discrimination has not been defined in any of the particular statute in India, or it has not been addressed in explicit terms under the Constitution of India. It doesn't mean that the concept per se has not at all been recognized. No, it has been recognized, but in an implicit manner, not explicit. So that is, then one should understand where it has been spelled out. To understand that, one needs to visit or one needs to read Article 14, 15, 17, and other relevant important provisions of the Constitution of India. 14 generally prohibits discrimination, promotes equality, right? 15 also attempts the same, and it also deals little elaborately like access to tanks, public roads, other facilities without any basis of discrimination. 17 deals with the what is that? A crime of untouchability based on caste and other considerations. Now, when you put all together, a person may face all, at least more than one form of discrimination, is called intersectional discrimination or multiple stigmatization. This can be explained with the best case law. An example is from this particular case law has been decided by the Honorable Supreme Court of India, and notably, interestingly, the judgment has been delivered. One of the judge happens to be Dr. D.Y. Chandrachurji. We know that he has been educated in US, and these doctrines are very much prevalent in the countries like US and various international conventions such as UNCRPD, SEDA, and other conventions are helping in the development of the aforestated jurisprudence. So he has been heavily influenced and he has successfully incorporated all these things in a particular case law. This case law name is known as Padan Jamali Wali versus State of Andhra Pradesh. This is a very recent case law. Maybe 2021, the judgment has been delivered. The case arose from the state of Andhra Pradesh, erstwhile Andhra Pradesh. The facts of the case is follows. There is a girl, there is a gentleman. I don't know whether should I call him as a gentleman. Okay, there is an accused. This accused happens to be a coolie. He is aged around 27 years at that point of time, not now. And he is working as a coolie, and he has two friends. And he regularly visits that friend's home. The two friends happen to be the brother of a victim here. He regularly visits that home and has become almost very close to that family members. One day, he goes to the home of his friends. He finds the absence of all the family members. And the victim is a girl. Unfortunately, she happens to be visually challenged, a 19-year-old girl staying in the home separately. Taking advantage of this situation, he enters into the home, closes the doors, and engages her, subjected to sexual violence, torturing her and rapes her. And when she raises huge alarm, the neighbors and others intimate the same to her mother, who has gone to collect some firewoods. And the mother rushes to the home immediately, and she breaks the door with the help of others, and fortunately she gets this accused hand in glove. At that point of time, The victim girl was lying nude and she was bleeding. And the report has been launched to the police immediately. Along with the circle inspector and other relevant officials visits the home, collects the evidence, and she has been medically examined. The doctor also certifies that she has been raped. The case goes to the Sessions Court. Sessions Court convicts him on 2 counts. The Sessions Court convicts the accused on 2 counts. What is that? Charge number 1 is that the offence under 376 has been made out. That is rape. Second offence is that she happens to be a scheduled caste, Dalit women. So therefore, the offence under Prevention of Atrocities against SCs and ST Act has been made out. So 2 life imprisonment along with rupees 1,000 has been imposed as penalty upon him. In default of that, he has to undergo additional 6-month imprisonment. So this is the judgment rendered by the Sessions Court. Fortunately, it has been upheld by the Andhra Pradesh High Court. When the appeal goes to the Supreme Court, see that Supreme Court accepts all these things. But it says that the offence under the atrocities of Prevention of Atrocities against SCs ST Act has not been made out. Just because the girl happens to be an SC, itself is not a ground to commit rape against her. That is what the court says. Certainly the boy would have got the knowledge that she is belonging to this particular caste is concerned. But court negates this particular offence. But fortunately it takes into account the rights of disabilities. I am not sure whether they have relied upon UNCRPD, whether they have relied upon the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act under 2016. But there is a mentioning about Verma Commission recommendation relating to the rights of persons with a disability. Special safeguards have been recommended by Sri Verma ji in relation to the investigation of the offences committed against the persons with a disability, particularly victim, a girl with a disability or women with a disability, such as the involvement of special educators, interpreters, and the offence FIR shall be recorded in the home itself of persons with a disability. And it should be done in an environment which is very conducive and familiar with the persons with a disability. So this is how the intersectional discrimination or multiple stigmatization has been for the first time recognized by the judiciary. However, there is three stigma attached against this particular girl. First, she is a woman. Second, she is a Dalit. Third, on top of it, she happens to be differently able, particularly she happens to be visually challenged. The intersectional discrimination is very important one in the Indian context, because as of now under the fundamental rights, you can get remedies only against the state, but not against individuals and other private entities. Say example, reservation need not to be followed in the private industry. I am not advocating that reservation should be followed in private industry, that is different. But private industry cannot discriminate me based on my disability, based on my gender status, based on my sexual orientation, based on my other consideration, whether I am a vegetarian, non-vegetarian, all these things. The best example, when you go for a housing, rented housing, people will ask you whether you are married. If you say no, people will be hesitant to give you house. They refuse. And some people will say, we will give house only to the vegetarians. This is very unfortunate. Some people even refuse to say, we will give house only to Muslim, we will say, we will give house only to Hindus. These are all unfortunate intersectional discrimination. We need to have a separate law to deal with this sort of menace. I understand there is a bill has been moved in Kerala State Assembly. I am not sure. Once I get the details, I will like to come and share it with you at a later point of time. But this intersectional discrimination has been largely addressed by addressed by various international instruments such as SEDA, UNCRPD. So we need to have a comprehensive law to deal with these sort of menaces. Otherwise, the fundamental rights, both in its letter and spirit in the true sense, as envisaged by our constitution framers, cannot be enjoyed by our citizens as well as non-citizens of this country is concerned. I hope the good sense will prevail sooner rather than later. Jai Hind. God bless you all. Thank you.